How's it going, everyone? So for today's video, we're talking about a PVE build that I did for my Strand Hunter. This is going to be my favorite Strand Hunter build. This is probably my favorite build in PVE when it comes to ad clear. This build is so much fun for controlling ads and crowd control. So this build utilizes the Whirling Maelstrom aspect. This aspect is insane. I haven't touched any of the new aspects for all the Strand characters but this one. I know that Banner of War is insane, and I haven't really seen too much on the Warlock one, but this Whirling Maelstrom is great and insane for ad control and crowd control. These little guys do absolutely crazy damage. I'm going to show you the build right now. I will show you every fragment and aspect right now. So obviously, Strand Hunter, I'm going to be using Marksman Dodge. Triple Jump is my favorite just because that's what I've always felt like. You can obviously do whatever you want. And same with Marksman Dodge, you could probably go with Gambler's Dodge. That'd actually be a pretty great idea because your threaded spike is going to be severing and creating tangles. So if you have Gambler's Dodge, you're going to be able to throw more threaded spikes and create more tangles for yourself. And then I'm going with the Grapple Grenade because I really like the maneuverability. Plus, if you get a Grapple Grenade kill, or grapple melee kill, you're also going to create tangles. And then first aspect is the Widow's Silk because I like having multiple grenades. And the other two, so for the other two aspects, you would probably, if you really wanted to, you could go with Ensnaring Slam because you're going to be able to create tangles on suspended targets. But again, I like the grenades, I like being able to maneuver. And then obviously the star of the show, the Whirling Maelstrom. So destroying a tangle will weave a violent writhing, I'd probably reading that wrong, but wreathing mass of strand fibers. The strand mass seeks out and damages targets emitting unraveling projectiles when it defeats them. This does really good sustained damage. It's not like the most crazy insane damage, like it's not killing everything immediately, but it stays for long enough that it'll take care of every little minor ad, any red bar near a yellow bar, and it will just completely control the crowd. Good damage, do everything, and it stays for a very long time, and it'll seek out enemies. It's really awesome. And then for fragments, I went with dealing damage, generates grenade energy, because, you know, like I said, the grenades, the grapples, having more and more of them is always fun, and he's a lot better for survivability. And then we got Thread of Transmutation. While you have Woven Mail, Weapon Final Blows create a tangle. Now, the reason why I picked this one is because we're going to pair it with Thread of Warding. Picking up an Orb of Power grants Woven Mail. So if you didn't know, right now it's really easy to create orbs of power. Let's check my helmet right here. I have 2 strand siphons, so I will be creating a lot of orbs with this weapon in general, and this weapon is insanely good. I'll get onto that in a minute. So we're going to be creating a lot of orbs. Picking up those orbs is going to give us Woven Mail. Woven Mail is really good because it just gives us non-precision damage reduction, and in PvE that's really helpful for a lot of status effects and just a lot of enemies. And then we have Woven Mail creating tangles. So whenever we pick up an orb, we're going to get damage reduction, and then our next kill is going to create a tangle, so even more tangles. And then we also have Thread of Isolation. Landed rapid precision hits emit severing bursts from the target. And then also, if you look on the left here, Sever. Sever targets unwind into a tangle when defeated. So we have more ways to create tangles, just tangles on tangles on tangles. This is, in my opinion, the best set of fragments and aspects. Like I said, you could probably go with Ensnaring Slam, and then if you really wanted to, trade out Thread of Generation for Thread of Wisdom, because you'll be able to create more Orbs of Power from defeating suspended targets. That's actually a really great idea. And then you'd obviously go with the Shackle Grenade, so you get even more suspends. That build is probably, now that I'm thinking about it, probably a little bit better for Grandmasters, because you don't want to be grappling around like a crazy madman in PvE, or in Grandmaster, so something like Shackle Nades and a actual way to suspend with that suspend giving you some benefits is going to be a really good combination. And then onto the weapons, we have Quicksilver Storm, obviously the best strand auto rifle in the game for PvE in my opinion. So if you don't know what Quicksilver Storm does, rocket tracers. Landing multiple hits turns your next shot into a homing micro rocket. So what that does is it's a lot like the Neomuna weapon origin trait. I'm blanking on the name right now, but basically as you're landing hits, every so often a rocket is going to come out of your weapon and track onto anything in an area. It's not going to go exactly to the enemy that you're pointing at. Sometimes it will, most of the time it will, but sometimes it'll just go towards something near your enemy, and it'll just track towards the nearest enemy. And then the trait is Grenade Chaser. Planting multiple rockets slows a grenade. Long press to switch to grenade launcher mode. So the grenade launcher mode on Quicksilver isn't the most powerful thing in the world because in the end it is a primary weapon, but for a primary weapon it can dish out some really good damage. And then we go to the catalyst. This weapon's damage type becomes strand. Final blows with grenade from this weapon creates tangles. Again, another way to create tangles. We are just constantly creating as many weaving maelstorms as we possibly can. Plus the grenade launcher on Quicksilver does really good damage, and the archetype of auto rifle is also really good right now. So for the energy weapon, I'm going with harsh language just because in a general build this one works out really good. It feels really comfortable and does a really good job of clearing ads, but in a lot of lost sectors and grandmasters you end up having to use something for champions. So I end up using my loaded question for unstoppables, and then for overload I'll do whatever you need for overload. And then onto the heavy weapon, I have this Cataphract GL3 with Envious Assassin bait and switch. This Quicksilver Storm is creating a lot of kills, generating a lot of damage, so it's going to be getting Envious Assassin procced up. I get like 15 rounds in this magazine constantly. You'll see in the lost sector, which it just does really good. And then obviously there's not a whole lot of strand weapons, heavy weapons right now. So another great option is the strand rocket from the season pass. That one I haven't gotten a great roll, but once I get that, I will definitely be using that. And then it's strand, so in the end you can really use whatever you want. So I'll find myself using Apex Predator a lot just because it's such a good weapon. And you can just change the mods from strand scavenger to solar, and then from strand reserves to solars. So then let's look at my spreadsheet here. Here's the entire build as I've already gone through. And then for armor, I will go with foe tracers because what foe tracers has been changed to do now is damaging a powerful combatant or guardian with an ability grants you a temporary bonus to weapon damage matching your subclass type. Defeating that target with a weapon matching the damage type of your subclass creates an elemental pickup. This will create a tangle if I'm not mistaken. The elemental pickups is like the solar explosion balls, the void ones, and the arc, and for strand it's tangles. So I really like foe tracers just because it's gonna be really well. Obviously again, it's just creating more and more tangles. And then now that I'm realizing, if you go with Gambler's Dodge with your Threaded Spike, you're going to have even more melee abilities because that's going to be your main source of dealing ability damage. And then if you go with the Shackled Grenade, you're going to be even more ability damage, creating even more tangles. It's just a constant and endless spiral of damage. And then we also have our arms. I got a recovery mod. I built into recovery, resil, and intellect. My stats right now aren't great. I'm still working on a lot of armor pieces. And in this, when it comes to your stats, it really doesn't matter. You can do anything you want. That's what I like to build a lot of my builds around. I don't focus particularly anything other than just damage resistance and recovery, the basic stats. I'm not really one for grenades and melee abilities because I can do other things to get those. So then, just generic mods on the armor, and then you've seen the weapons. So yeah, that's the setup. So that is the build right there, and in the background gameplay, I have a Legend Lost Sector playing, and then I'm going to show you guys some Grandmaster playthrough just to show you how potent it can be in the end game content. And this is definitely a build that I'm going to pull out whenever ad clear or ad control becomes a problem in a master raid or a day one raid even. This build is insane. It's probably going to stand the test of time as well because these weapons are so potent, unless there's a better option for creating tangles in Quicksilver Storm, which I highly doubt there's going to become. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed, and keep your eyes peeled because I'm going to be doing a Let's Play of Spider-Man 2. So yeah, thanks for watching.